Hey AB fam, thank you for coming through on another video. Thank you for continuously rocking with me. Today we're keeping it nice and chill, nice and mellow. I'm gonna be answering all of your questions that you guys have sent me on Instagram, Facebook, and I even threw in a few extra bonus questions so that you guys can get to know your girl, all about my travel, photography, who I am as a person, the things I believe in, and everything in between. We're gonna get into the nitty-gritty right after this. How we're gonna do this is I have the questions all shuffled up in this little dish here. I'm gonna pull out a question, I'm gonna answer it, elaborate a little bit on it, and then go to the next one. I hope you guys stay rocking with me all the way through to the very end so you guys can hear everything that I get to share with you guys in this video. All right, let's get this party started. So let me shuffle it. Oh, one fell out. It's really important that you shuffle when you're pulling out of a dish. You know what I'm saying? All right, first question says, if you could live anywhere, where would it be and why? So if I could choose to live somewhere outside of Canada, I would probably want to live in Southeast Asia, or I'd want to live somewhere really tropical like Costa Rica, or maybe somewhere in South America, but mainly Southeast Asia. The reason why is because I know Southeast Asia like the back of my hand. I've been there so many times, and it's a really safe cluster of countries there. Most of the countries over there is 90% to 95 to 100% safe. I feel like I would really thrive there depending on what it is that I'm doing for work. If it's photography, I definitely would thrive over there. And I always felt like I was connected to the culture. I like the food, I like the excursions, I like all of the activities and the culture of those countries. So I think I would really like it over there. So that's why I would choose Southeast Asia. I'm gonna say Bali, Thailand, Cambodia, one of them in between there somewhere. All right, next question. The next question says, what are some things that sound like compliments but are actually insults? That's a good question. I never got that question before, ever in life. One that I can think of off the top of my head would be when someone calls someone else's baby precious. I feel like that is the ultimate insult, because you say that someone's baby is precious if you think their baby's ugly, right? So it's technically an insult to call somebody's baby precious, unless you also say, oh, they're so cute, or oh, they're so beautiful. If you're just calling them precious and there's nothing else tied to it, in my opinion, no, you just don't do that. Next one. Next one says, at what age were you taught about your family history? Okay, so that's a very good question. And before I can answer that question, I'm just gonna give a quick background about my family history. So my family is from North Buxton, Ontario, which is in the country, somewhere in between Chatham, Ontario, Windsor, Ontario. And the area and community that my grandparents still live in to this day was one of the first slave settlements in southwestern Ontario. So it was basically the end part of the Underground Railroad, and they came here to be free, and my family still lives there to this day. So going to my grandparents' house when I was a kid growing up, I would, obviously know I'm on A.D. Shad Road, which is the road that they live on, named after our last name. And A.D. Shad Road was actually named after Abraham Doris Shad, who was Mary Ann Shad, Carey's father. If you don't know Mary Ann Shad, Canadian history, you gotta know who Mary Ann Shad is. Mary Ann Shad was the first female to produce, black female to produce a provincial newspaper in Canada. She also created an integrated school in Windsor, Ontario, and she became a lawyer later on in her like elderness. Sorry, wrong word. Later on in her retirement, basically, she became a lawyer. She was also a teacher, and she was an advocate for women being able to do things without their husbands and having skills without their husbands. So she created this organization or association that was built to teach women skills like woodworking and, you know, fixing things in the house and managing money and that kind of thing. So I started learning about my family history. If I go back to back as far as I can possibly go, it was probably around the age of 6 or 7 when I started becoming curious about it. I'd ask questions about it. Obviously, we would go to North Buxton Museum, which is a very popular tourist destination for people. So when you go there, you hear all about my family there as well. So I would say 6 to 7 years old is when I started really hearing about it and learning about it, and my family teaching me about it. It could be earlier, but that's when I remember. All right, next one. I think one fell out. Oh no, it didn't. Oh yeah, it did. It's right over here. Okay, so what's the most daring thing you've ever done? Most daring thing. All right, the most daring thing I ever did probably is scuba diving. I remember the first time I scuba dived, I felt like I was in a whole different world. I felt like it couldn't be real that sharks and fish and starfish and eels and all of these different things were swimming around me. Turtles and jellyfish, and I couldn't believe it. Like, it was almost like unreal. It was like I was in a tunnel at Ripley's Aquarium, and there's that tube that you go under, but except there was no tube separating you from the fish and stuff. So I would say that's the most daring thing I've ever done. I wanna go and skydive. Like, that is on my bucket list. Hopefully this year I get a chance to do that. I want to skydive. I want to jump out of a plane. Sounds crazy, right? But I want to jump out of a plane. That's all I want to do. So yeah, guys, I'm all into the adventure and the daringness. You only got one life, right? Okay, next one. Who knows you best? So the two people I'm gonna say 100% know me the absolute best is my Aunt Tegan. My Aunt Tegan, me and her were close in age. We're actually the same distance in age from me and her to her and my mom, basically. So when we were growing up, we basically grew up as siblings, and we treat each other like sisters. We don't really treat each other like niece and aunt. She is my aunt, but she's more like my sister. I would say she for sure knows me like really, really well. And my best friend Shanessa 100% knows me best outside of her. Like 110% knows me best. She could tell me what's wrong with me before I could tell her what's wrong with me. I'll go to her with a problem, and she'll tell me already what the problem is or how I should solve it based on who I am. Yeah, so my best friend for sure. Next one. What is your biggest fear and why? Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys two. I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna give you guys two. It's really hard to decide. So my first one is going to be that I die and I don't leave an impact in this world. That is a fear of mine. Is like, nobody knows who I am, what I've done for the world and for people and in my industry. They only have bad things to say about me, or they have nothing to say about me. That is a major fear, because I really want to leave a legacy. I want my name to be carried through whether I'm here or not. So that's a huge one. The second thing is losing people that I love. That is such a fear of mine, and I know death is a part of life, but it's like sometimes I look at my grandparents and I see them losing friends and cousins and all these people that they grew up with and have known for so long. And I just think about like that happening in my life and who around me right now is gonna be a part of my life at that time, and who's gonna go first. Am I gonna die before them, or am I gonna have to witness all my friends die before me? Like it's really morbid. I apologize for how morbid it is, but that's like a real fear, and I know a lot of people can relate to that. All right, so the next one. What makes you laugh the most? So for me, I would say when little kids, especially my godchildren, when they do something that is so funny and like they didn't mean to be funny, but they just did it and it was hilarious. That is something that makes me laugh all the time. But also I'm really into crude, politically incorrect humor. Like I love crude, gross, sexual, politically incorrect type of jokes and comedy. Superstore, The Office are good for those type of jokes. Modern Family even. Shameless. You guys gotta get on these shows. Okay, the next one. The next one is, what are 3 of your best backpacking tips? Okay, I like that question. That's a good question, whoever asked me that. My 3 biggest backpacking tips. So the first one is 100% pack light and buy as you go. 100%. People always overpack, me included. I did it my first backpacking trip. I packed way too much, because you have to remember that as you're traveling, you're gonna be able to wash your clothes. And secondly, you're gonna be able to buy. So, and a lot of the countries you backpack in, it's cheap to buy stuff. So why weigh your bag down, especially when you're gonna wanna have souvenirs, you're gonna like stuff that you shop for and see. You might as well have a bag that's at a smaller capacity. That way you can fit everything, and then you could just wash what you have, or you can trade out what you don't want anymore and buy new stuff. But definitely pack light. Don't pack heavy. It's the worst thing people do. Definitely don't pack more than travel size body washes and shampoos and that kind of stuff, because majority of the countries that you're backpacking to, they have shampoo and conditioner and whatever, right? Like you don't need to bring that with you. Number 2 is going to be open. Be as open as you possibly can to meeting new people, trying new foods, going out, trying new excursions, going to different parts of the country if you have the time that you weren't necessarily planning on going to. Be open, just be open. You'll have the best experiences if you just let what needs to happen. Yes, have your itinerary. Know that you're gonna go to this place and that place and this place, but also designate time in between those places to give it for openness. So if you meet 2 friends and they're going on a hike and you wanna go, then you can go on a hike with 2 friends or whatever the case is. So definitely be open. Number 3 is get travel insurance. Especially as a backpacker, you usually spend a longer amount of time in these places and destinations, and who knows when you're gonna go back home, and who knows when things could go wrong and happen, or you could get sick, or you know, you have a cut on your arm and it's not healing properly and you have to see a doctor. Those bills can rack up. It could be a lot, it could be expensive. So get traveler's insurance. It will cost you a little bit now, but it could save you a lot more later. Next is, what are 2 of your biggest pet peeves and why? Okay, I like that one. 2 biggest pet peeves and why. My first biggest pet peeve is when people say that they are going to do something and they don't follow through and do it. And it's not to say like, you know, things happen, things come up, people don't feel well, work sucks, you know, you can't follow through. But if you tell me like, I'm going to drive down to visit you in Chatham, North Buxton, then make sure you find time at some point in the summertime to drive down to Chatham or North Buxton to come visit me. Or, you know, I'm gonna pay you back next Friday and then I'm chasing you down for my money. Drives me nuts. like, and you're not communicating and I have no idea why I am unable to reach you, that is a pet peeve of mine. My second pet peeve is going to be when people don't let me just live my life. Like, just because you don't backpack the world by yourself doesn't mean that I shouldn't. Just because you don't believe that I should get this type of couch doesn't mean that I shouldn't when I'm the one who likes it. Just because you want to be a homebody and never go out with your friends doesn't mean that I should stay home and never go out with my friends. It's just, it goes on so many levels, but that's just some examples. Next one. These questions are good, I have to say. They're really, really good. I'm proud of you guys, and I'm proud of myself for putting in some bonus ones as well. Okay, if you could go back in time, what time of your life would you revisit? Alrighty, so if I could go back in time, what time of my life would I revisit? I would probably go back to about 8 or 9 years old, when I just felt like free. And you know, I was at the park, I was climbing trees, I was running around the block, I was playing baseball, like just very carefree. And I never appreciated that carefreeness. And I feel like I wish I could go back to that. When sleepovers with my friends were a thing all the time, and going to the movies and not paying any bills and going to school and running around the neighborhood, I wish I had that back. So I would definitely say that time. And if not that time, I'm gonna say around 24, 25, when I had a decent career path and I could have and should have been saving my money properly and didn't. If I would have saved from then, I just imagine where I would be at right now. So I definitely would go back to 24, 25-ish. All right, T, last three. So first one. What's your favorite part about your job and what's the worst part about your job? Okay, so I'm gonna be 100% real with y'all. You guys cannot come for me when I'm talking about this, okay? So any clients watching this, don't think it's personal. It's not personal. I'm literally answering the question in a generalized way. Okay, so my best part is absolutely the babies, the kids, the family, is getting to build relationships with my clients and watch their children grow and know that they feel that I am valuable, and me valuing them even, and knowing that they're gonna come back for their next birthday or their next family session. Also, like, buying stuff and having a reason to invest in my business and buy dresses and props and bonnets and wraps and all of this stuff. I love it. I love every minute of it. Now the worst part, the worst part. Y'all ain't getting me on this one. I really gotta say it. The worst part is people not paying me on time. People feeling that I'm outside of their budget, which is totally fine, but not just thinking I'm outside of their budget, complaining about me being outside of their budget when my prices are my prices. It's your job to see if I'm a good fit for you, and if not, you keep it moving. You know what I mean? So that's pretty bad. But that is pretty much the only parts that I absolutely hate, is just, you know, dealing with entitledness or dealing with clients that aren't understanding of certain things in life coming up sometimes. But for the most part, I love my job. I love my clients. I rarely have any problems at this point in my career. So that's a plus. That's a huge plus. All right, last two. One in here, one in my hand. What made you become a photographer? So I've said this many times, but I will repeat it for this video because this will be on YouTube. I became a photographer by accident, and like, obviously I know nothing is by accident. It's always God's way of pushing us into the direction that he wants us to push us in. He wants to push us in. However, I didn't know I wanted to be a photographer. I had no interest in being a photographer. I ended up being a photographer after doing photos for my kids at my camp that I used to run. We bought a camera for the camp. I did their photos, like their headshots, just to have for our final showcase night. And parents really started complimenting me on how nice the photos were and asking if I could do family shots and this shot and that shot. And I was like, okay, I'm starting to like this. Then I did a friend of mine's newborn shoot in Windsor and the photos turned out decent. I had no idea what I was doing, but they weren't awful. And I just was like, you know what? Maybe I should start researching this and getting better and better and better at it. So that's what I did. Started getting better at what I did. And now I'm here. This is what, 11 years later, 11 years this July. I am a photographer. I've been doing this. I'm very successful at it at this point, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm happy that I found photography. It's been not only a career path, but also an outlet. And it's been so great to just meet so many people and to be so creative and to work with great makeup artists and assistants and personal assistants and stylists and just different people from all different walks of life and career paths, and I'm very grateful for it. At the end of the day, I don't regret becoming a photographer at all. Okay, last one. So this one says, what is your favorite country you've traveled to and why? That is hard when you've been to so many countries. I've been to almost 30 countries now. So it's really difficult to say out of all of them, Europe, Africa, like Asia, which ones are my favorite, North America even, because I've been to so many countries now. But I will say that Thailand is always gonna be a favorite. So I feel like I shouldn't pick that one. Thailand is amazing. If you haven't been to Thailand, you have to go to Thailand at least once in your life. I've been so many times, but I would say Cambodia, 100% top of my list for sure. One of my favorite countries in the entire world. People think of Cambodia as this like very poor place and, you know, very kind of off to the side, doesn't get as much attention as Thailand and Bali, but Cambodia was absolutely a dream. It's very cheap, it's very like everybody's very friendly. The temples and the waterfalls and the hikes were absolutely stunning. The most beautiful architecture I've ever seen in my life. And just the people were amazing, incredible. The markets were great. It was cheap, reasonably cheap. The only thing I found expensive were the temples, but I mean, I understand why. They're absolutely gorgeous. But the tuk-tuks and the food and the markets were all very, very cheap. I just found it to be just really peaceful there and really like a nice mix between like Thailand and Laos in a way, because Laos is very like laid back, it's not too busy, so I would say it's a nice mix between the two. And if I had to choose another one, like obviously Thailand's up there, I'm gonna put that to the side. I'm gonna say Croatia. I absolutely loved Croatia. I want to see more of Croatia, but I found again the people were very nice there. The food was pretty tasty. Not my Airbnb, I stayed in a hostel, but it was like a homestay type hostel, and the lady that ran it was absolutely phenomenal. She would have like yoga days, and she would have like activities for us. She would give us recommendations for where we can buy food, and like she was just so hospitable. I think that's the word. She's very hospitable. So I would definitely say I love Croatia, but it's really hard to say because I love all the places that I've gone to and would go to all of them over and over and over again. All right, guys, thank you for coming through. That was our Q&A. I really loved all of the questions that I got, and I love the random questions that I was able to throw in. If there's something that you guys want to know for the next one, just send me a message on Instagram or Facebook, or hit up this YouTube and put it just in the comment section below. Make sure you go ahead and like this video, share with your friends and family so they'll come over to the channel as well and subscribe. Make sure you guys, I'm talking to you, make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that notifications button so you're aware of the next videos that are dropping. Every week we drop videos. Thank you guys again so much. You guys are loyal, you guys are bomb, you guys are rocking, you guys are moving, you guys are popping, and I'm so grateful for you guys. It was so great to do this. I'm hoping for the next Q&A, you guys send me some more juicy questions. I'll be raw and real with you guys always and forever. I'm gonna answer the questions. It could be about photography, it can be about my mental health or any mental health related questions in general, but it can also be about this YouTube channel and anything you guys want to know. All right, hope you keep it rocking, keep it moving, keep it popping, keep it juicy, keep it nitty and gritty. All right, see you in the next one. Peace.